In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can use one of the most famous stars in the night sky. Now, this star is not famous for its brightness, being the 49th most bright star, but more due to its location. This is the most obvious star located close to the North Celestial Point, and the star is called Polaris, or the North Star. As I said, it isn't the brightest, and one way of locating it is by using the plough and following these two stars up to locate Polaris in the night sky. Now, why would you want to locate Polaris? Well, one reason is that it will directly tell you which way north is. However, you can use Polaris to tell another thing about your location. Polaris can be used to determine your latitude. Due to the fact that Polaris is extremely close to the North Celestial Point, it can be used to determine your latitude. Let's imagine that you're standing at the equator. Here your latitude would be 0 degrees as you're neither north nor south. Now Polaris would be directly above the North Pole. So if we drew in your local horizon and an arrow pointing directly above you to your zenith, then you can see that Polaris would appear to be on your horizon, or 0 degrees into the night sky. And what do you notice? Well, the altitude of Polaris, how high it appears in the night sky, is the same as the latitude that you're observing from. If we take the other extreme and imagine that you're standing directly on the North Pole, then Polaris would be directly above your head. Again, drawing in those standard lines of the horizon and directly up, you can see that Polaris would be at an altitude of 90 degrees, directly above you. And again, this matches your latitude, which would be 90 degrees north. If you drew this diagram at any of the intervening points, you would see it be the same. Here the observer is standing at a latitude of 20 degrees north, and you could see that they would see Polaris at 20 degrees above the horizon. So Polaris is extremely useful at determining your latitude, as by measuring the altitude of Polaris, you can work out your latitude. Here, Polaris is at 53 degrees above the horizon, meaning the observer is located at 53 degrees north. Now, another measurement that astronomers use is called the polar distance. The polar distance is a measure of how far a star is from Polaris, or the North Celestial Point. Now, because Polaris is located very close to the NCP, it has a declination of 90 degrees. Let's take another star, for example Duba. Duba has a declination of 62 degrees. To work out the polar distance, the distance of that star from Polaris, we simply use the formula polar distance equals 90 minus declination. So in this example, the polar distance would be 90 minus 62, which would mean the polar distance is 28 degrees. Let's finish with one last example. Here we have the declination of the star Alioth. Alioth has a declination of 55 degrees and 57 minutes. This is an extra degree of accuracy in our measurements. There are 60 minutes in 1 degree. So to work this out, we simply use the same formula, and we have to take 55 degrees and 57 minutes from 90. If we first take off the 55, that leaves us with 35 degrees, and then taking off the 57 minutes would leave us with 3 minutes left over. So the polar distance is 34 degrees and 3 minutes. Now you can use Polaris to calculate some astronomical variables. Give our quiz a go and see how well you can do.